Hi guys, welcome to Into Boxing. This is Melissa Zad and I'm delighted to be joined finally by Frank Smith at the Ben Algeri Press Week. We're at the Meteor workout. Frank, how's it going?
Yeah, good. It's good to be back in the UK. I've been in the US for a long time, so good to be back ahead of a huge couple of weeks of shows in the UK.
Absolutely. You've got that US glow about you.
Not sure. It wasn't that sunny in New York. There was a bit of sun in Vegas, and I'm not a sun worshipper, but thank you though. I appreciate it.
Obviously, it's been like a really packed few weeks of boxing and another couple of packed weeks of boxing ahead. Let's talk a little bit about the shows that you were present at over in the States. There's been some, the Kambosos Jr. and Lopez fight was an absolute, barnstormer. Really kind of, I guess for a lot of boxing fans who might not be familiar with Kambosos Jr., a bit of an upset. What did you make of it?
Yeah, look, I mean, ultimately he was the outsider there, but being around him all week, he had this mentality of no one was going to stop him, and he was going in there, and it was like his destiny to go and do the job against Teo Lopez. Great fight. I think he won it fair and square, and I'm glad he got the decision and the judges' scorecards as well, because we've seen a lot of bad decisions recently, and being away from home, it was good to see that the result came the right way. And look, he's changed his life. He said he was going to go in there and change his life. Not many people believed him, but he's done it, and now some huge opportunities out there for him.
What do you make of Lopez Sr.'s comments and sort of reactions pre-fight, during press week, and also post-fight as well?
Yeah, he's an interesting character. Pre-fight, we were the best thing he's ever seen, and we did a great job for him. Post-fight, we were the reason he lost, and he should have stayed with Top Rank. So I don't read into it all too much. But look, maybe it's all part of the show. Maybe it's the way he just naturally is. He's a good character, and they're both in Teo and Junior as well. Great. He's a great guy as well. Really nice young. How old is he? 23, 24. Really nice to be around. And he'll come back. He's very talented, and it just wasn't his night that night. So don't read into too much what the dad says. But he's going to be back, and maybe we'll work with him again in the future.
Do you feel that, obviously there have been comments made about Lopez moving up to the next weight division? Do you think that that's something that he should have done sooner, vacated the belts and moved up?
Look, I don't. That was the one fight we've done with them. So he's obviously quite big. You could see when he made the weight and come into the weigh, and he's big. He's bigger in the ring as well. No one knows him better than his dad, who's in there training with him. But that's a lot of boxers do that. A lot of boxers have to struggle to make weight, to stay at a weight where they can be, much tougher, much stronger when it comes to the night of the fight. But I'm sure he'll move up to 140 now. There's big fights for him there. Probably have a comeback fight, and I think his aim is to get the Josh Taylor fight. So let's see how that goes.
Let's talk a little bit more about that division, the lightweight division. Obviously, it's totally stacked. We just saw a points victory for Gervonta Davis. Yep. We saw Devin Haney out. What did you make of those two fights?
Really impressed by Devin Haney. He looked good in his fight against Jorge Linares earlier this year in May. And another great performance against Jojo Diaz, who although come up in weight, he's a very talented fighter. And I thought Devin did a great job against him. And for again someone who's 23 years old, what he's already done in the sport is quite amazing. And good to see someone who is willing to fight anyone. There is no one is scared of fighting. He wants to go in there against the best. He wanted to go in there against Lomachenko when he got the title. So that was he's good, great to work with. The Tank fight I didn't actually watch. I was flying at the time. I've seen clips of it. Heard it was a bit closer than maybe he thought it was.
I would say so.
Yeah, I think the big fight. The big fight though, or the biggest fight out there is obviously Kambosos against Devin Haney. We can crown a true undisputed champion. Not that maybe there shouldn't be questions. Teo went in there and beat Lomachenko, who would have been for the undisputed, but they gave the belt to Devin Haney. So let's crown a real undisputed champion that everyone recognises, and that's the big fight to be made, I think.
So obviously you've just mentioned Lomachenko. He's fighting on Saturday night against Richard Comey. Where does he sit within all of this? Do you think that he's going to make a comeback?
Yeah, for sure. He's a very talented fighter. You don't know. I think there was a lot of talk when he fought Lopez about a potential injury when he was in there. So I'm sure he'll be back. You know, we've seen what his stablemate Alexander Usyk has done as well. You know, they're talented fighters. He'll come back. You know, it's a tough fight against Richard Comey for his first fight back. But you know, I think the aim is let's try and make Kambosos against Haney, and maybe that's a fight for the winner down the road.
Obviously, going on to the other end of the scale, you know, lightweights to heavyweights. It was announced yesterday that the WBC have finally ordered the Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury fight. Talk us through that.
Yeah, look, it's been a long time coming. You know, Dillian Whyte's waited quite a while, which has been publicly known. There was talk around an arbitration case, which delayed it a little bit further. But yeah, it's great news that they called it. I think the 30-day negotiation period now between the parties to try and make it happen. And then if not, purse bids, which are always fun. We do enjoy purse bids. So yeah, look, great, exciting time for the heavyweight division. You've got the talk of Joshua Usyk as well, the rematch there. AJ wants to come back, regain his title. So you know, lots to look forward to in 2022, and hopefully at some point we get to see the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world.
What do you think the likelihood is that we do get to see that?
I think we will. I think it's too big. I know we've probably said this a few times over the years, but I think it's too big not to happen. So let's see how things play out. But you know, I think it's everyone's aim to go in there and do that. So whoever that ends up being, because there's a lot of different routes that it can take. Hopefully it happens.
That's obviously what the fans would want. They always want to see those undisputed, unified fights taking place. But let's talk a little bit about the fight card on Saturday night. Obviously, it's a doubleheader. We've got Ben versus Algieri and Taylor versus Sharapova, if I'm not mistaken.
Good memory.
Thank you. What do you make of the fight card?
Yeah, great. You know, I think Conor Ben's obviously going in there against an experienced fighter in Chris Algieri. I think he's going to learn a lot in that fight on Saturday night. This is the kind of fights he needs as he progresses through his career. You know, and Chris Algieri's 37 years old, but he's very experienced, and we've seen how experience can outweigh, you know, young fighters. We saw it with Kiko Martinez against Kid Galahad recently, and like I say, these are the kind of fights he needs as he steps up in class. And you know, I believe we're going to see a really strong performance in there from Conor on Saturday night. You know, obviously you got Katie Taylor returns against Sharapova, a WBA mandatory. Good fight for her. Sharapova's got a great record. You know, I think it's going to be a tough night for Katie, but you know, as always, she will, I'm sure, show her class. And then hopefully we can move on to the big one against Serrano next year at some point. Another fight that has been spoken about for a few years, but I feel if ever we're closer to it now than we have been.
So in terms of the undercard, what is the fight of the night for you?
I really like the Robbie Davis Jr. fight against Hank Lundy. You know, Hank Lundy, we just saw in the ring. He looks in great shape. Obviously came over here to fight Lewis Ritson recently. That didn't happen. But you know, I think this is a big fight for Robbie's career. You know, he's had the losses, but you know, he's come back. We had the small comeback fight on our Liverpool card in October. I'm glad to get him back out there, you know, nice and quickly now before the end of the year, and build up to some big fights next year.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for your time, Frank. I appreciate it.